It all begins with Chen Nian, a teacher who is teaching English to some children, notices that one of her students doesn't participate in class, and seems very overwhelmed. Then she remembers what happened to her when she was a teenager. She was a very intelligent and lonely student. She attended a school where the demands were extreme, since they prepared the students for the national entrance exam to the University of Angia, what would be in 60 days. One morning, her best friend unfortunately took her life. Everyone gathered to see her body and take photographs, but Chen Nian is the only one who comes to cover her, so that no one continues to see her in that state. The next day, the police arrive to interrogate her because perhaps she knows the reasons for the tragedy, although she doesn't say anything, and her teacher tells her that she shouldn't be afraid, since the school board will protect her. When she returns to the class, someone plays a bad joke on her, and she remembers that they did the same thing to the girl who died. But the worst thing is that no one did anything about it. They are all cowards at the same time. When the teacher finds out about this, he advises her that she should tell him who is bothering her, since he cares about her, but she still doesn't say anything. Chen Nian spends a lot of time studying alone at home, and her mother has a lot of debts with the neighbors. For that reason sometimes she doesn't come home. One day at school, 3 of her classmates approach her to bother her. The leader of them is Weili. There is someone who wants to take a photo of her. Chen Nian knows that they are the ones who bothered Asia Odi, and she doesn't want them to do the same to her, so she runs away. However, when she leaves class, these girls hit her and they didn't like her talking to the police, so they intimidate her so she doesn't accuse them. Her mother sells contraband facial masks, and spends very little time at home, but she thinks that with it, she will be able to pay her daughter's college tuition, and she hopes to live better when she graduates. The next night, Chen Nian is walking through the lonely streets on her way home, when suddenly she sees a gang brutally beating a young man. Then she tries to call the police, but they discover her. Here they steal her money, they break her cell phone, and to humiliate her, they force her to kiss the beaten boy. Later, Chen Nian withdraws money, and that same young man called Bishan appears to return the money that was stolen from her, and also repairs her damaged cell phone. There he offers to protect her like a bodyguard, and she pays him and says, "Bro, you can't even protect yourself, how are you supposed to take care of me?" Later, Chen Nian tells him that she's going to the best university unlike him, who is a street delinquent boy. Even he wants to accompany her to her house. While they pass by an alley, she sees photos of her mother where they denounce her as a thief, because she pays her suppliers for the products, and when her classmates find out, they make fun of her. And she leaves classes crying, and on the street, Bishan picks her up on his motorcycle. She tells him, "Take me wherever you want," because she just wants to forget about her problems. So Bishan takes the opportunity to take her to his house, and invite her to dinner. The boy believed that Chen Nian liked him, and maybe something would happen between them, but she tells him that she didn't even consider it, and that he doesn't have manners. Bishan responds that he's just a punk who doesn't need manners, but he calmed down that it doesn't hurt her, and the girl leaves that house. During gym class, a girl hits her with a good 2 balls, but Chen Nian reacts because she is already tired. They bother her in revenge. The bully pushes her down the stairs. In the infirmary, she breaks out. She doesn't know if she can last until the admission exam, and remembers Asia Odi complaining to her, because no one helped her when she was bullied. Now she is going through the same thing, so she decides to call Officer Zheng and tell him everything she knows. When they interrogate Weili's fellow bullies, there she turns out to be the most cynical of all. She even speaks bad things about Asia Odi, and they all deny being bullies. Those bad classmates were suspended, although they will still be able to take the entrance exam to the university, since they want to give them another chance. The teacher tells the girl that she did the right thing by accusing them, but since the teacher is also responsible for all of that, they fire him at the same time. After school, the officer picks her up to take her home, and tells her that now she just has to concentrate on her exam, but she reflects that at the end of the day, no one teaches them how to be adults, and when they grow up like their mother told them, everything will change. Everyone forgets, referring to the problem she is now going through. There are 42 days left until the teacher entrance exam is much more demanding. The days passed, and one night, the bully girls were waiting for her to attack her. Chen Nian runs while she calls the officer, but he doesn't answer, and somehow she manages to get to safety. She almost scared. That night, she no longer wants to return home, so she decides to go to Bishan's house to ask him for protection. Although she doesn't have money to pay him, that doesn't matter to him, and he agrees to take care of her, but he makes her write in a notebook that Chen Nian owes her one. From that day onwards, he will accompany her, keeping his distance. And he also threatened Weili there, so that she wouldn't bother her anymore. Chen Nian did her best to give a good exam and get into university, while Bishan continued his criminal work to get money, and got into a lot of trouble. But that didn't stop him from continuing to protect Chen Nian. She even slept at his house and helped her to feel comfortable when studying. Soon one of Wylia's bully friends begs Chen Nian for her protector to also take care of her, since they have started to bother her. Despite everything she did, Chen Nian offers to accompany her to her house. Chen Nian realizes that Bishan sometimes comes home very hurt. She realizes that he has been used to beating since he was little. His father abandoned him, and his mother took out her anger with him. Then she also abandoned him. He wanted to look for her but he couldn't find her. The days went by, and they got along better and better. Chen Nian wants him to leave his business so he doesn't get hurt, but he couldn't and had to continue doing it, also protecting her and also making her smile. Together they had the best days. One day, he confesses to her that he already wanted to make her friend, but Chen Nian didn't do anything, because she was afraid that they would bully him too, so the girl complains about this. One night, the police arrest several boys as suspects since they are looking for a rapist among them, and they lock them up to investigate them. Chen Nian cannot communicate with him, and he didn't return all night so she has to go alone to class. When she leaves, she still cannot communicate with him, because he is still in the police station, since she has no protection. Wylai along with her gang of thugs has the opportunity to attack her. There they humiliate her in many ways. They beat her, and break her homework, they cut her hair, and take off her clothes, all while they were recording her. Bishan finally leaves the police station, and has a feeling that something bad happened. When he gets home, he sees her very mistreated, trying to glue the pages her homework. That only makes him too angry, and he wants to take revenge on everyone who has hurt her, but Chen Nian stops him crying inconsolably. With tears falling down, the couple's hair is cut and he also cuts it, as a sign of support. That doesn't stop her, and Chen Nian goes to school to receive her ID for the admission exam. Finally, the day of the exam has arrived. Millions of young candidates prepare and the city is in chaos. Chen Nian is ready to enter, and Bishan wishes her good luck. Meanwhile, a worker discovers a body that was buried, and after performs the examination, Bishan finds out what they have found. The evidence reveals that it is Wylai body, and the police begin the investigations, and look for one of Bishan's friends to interrogate him, since his car is related to the crime, and the young man explains that it had been stolen. The officers don't believe him. Then we see a flashback. Bishan asked him to borrow his car and told him to only tell the truth if they interrogate him. Although the friend didn't betray him, they interrogated the bullies group, and the police saw the video where they mistreated Chen Nian, so she became the main suspect, since they believed she could have gotten revenge. So they went to look for her, and asked her why she didn't say anything about the video. She responded that she just wanted to concentrate on the admission exam. There they inform her that her classmate was found dead, and they take her to the police station to interrogate her. She only responds that she has not seen her since the attack, and that she was locked up studying, but the officer Lee doesn't believe her. The police know that she had reasons to do it, but they have no evidence against her. Whoever Jung proposes to release her, until he gets it, since she must continue taking the exam. The next day, she continues with the exam, and on the way out she is followed by some police officers. Suddenly, a person takes her by surprise and takes her inside an abandoned building. She realizes that he is Bishan, asks her to pretend she is the victim of an attack. What he wants is for the police to see him, so that they can capture him and confess that he tried to abuse Wylai, and that he accidentally left her dead. He also left evidence and it is. Chen Nine mentions that she didn't do it and she wants to turn herself in, but he sees her and stops her and declares his love for her. He says that he is nothing, but wants the person he loves to be happy, and since he is a minor, he won't receive a very harsh sentence. The best thing is that she graduated from university, and that they meet later, reminds her that he owes her one, and kisses her, while he prepares the scene that makes him look guilty. At that moment, the police arrive and arrest him. During the interrogation, they tell him to confess to Wylai's death. They know it was him, because they found traces of his DNA on the victim's nails. He also has scratches and they want to know why he left her lifeless. While that was happening, he was remembering the moment when he buried her, and was getting rid of some things. When he finally responds, he mentions that she resisted by hitting him, and he pushed her by accident, which ended in tragedy. Meanwhile, they take Chen Nian to her house and she remembers what really happened. Wylai passed there, had gone looking for her to beg her not to report her. She told her that she already deleted the video, and offered her money so that she wouldn't say anything. She was willing to do whatever as long as she didn't report her to the police, because she didn't want to repeat the school year. Chen Nian told her, just I don't want to see you again. and after that she left. However, Wai continued to chase her, and tell her things like that perhaps they would have been good friends, and that she would have accepted the money to pay her mother's debts. That was enough for Chen Nine, and she pushed her down the stairs, which caused her death. And then when she told him about it, he planned everything. He borrowed the vehicle to take the body, buried him, and decided to take the blame. Soon the officer discovers that Bishan has been protecting her, so they must know each other. The cops go for Chen Nian to interrogate her again. While in another room, they were also interrogating Bishan. Chen Nian denies that she is involved with the crime, and says that she hasn't met Bishan before, and for his part, he didn't meet Chen Nian, both of them remaining very firm with the plan. The officer gets tired of that situation, so he brings them together for a confrontation, but they continued pretending not to know each other.
No le conozco. ¿Y si nos conocemos ahora?
After that, Chen Nian reunites with her mother and they leave her free. The days went by, she continued studying. While he was in prison, she remembers a conversation where he told her that he would always be behind her to protect her. We see that both they suffer from the terrible situation they go through. One day, Chen Nian receives the result of her exam. Her grade is very high and she entered the university, but she cannot be happy with the news. That day she receives a visit from Officer Yang. There he informs her that he has received a death sentence. Chen Nian doesn't resist the news and breaks down. Then she attacks him, but she calmed down. The cop has lied to her to see her reaction. He tells her that if they both confess to the crime, they will each receive fewer years in prison. In the last scene, they take Chen Nian to visit Bishan and they tell each other everything with one look. Then they are both sent to jail, but they don't regret having met. Then we return to the beginning of the movie, with Chen Nian as the English teacher, and seeing the girl sad at the end of the class, she approaches her and decides to accompany her home, since she realized that this girl is going through bullying, and guess who is behind chasing her? Bishan, who promised to always protect her. In the end they tell us that Chen Nian had been sent to jail for 4 years, since they found her guilty of involuntary murder. The case worried the population and the government and anti-school bullying laws, and the story ends.